What's going on, everybody? I'm your host, Balian, back with another episode of the Sports Pod. And we're back in the studio today. After a long 5 weeks, we finally made it back. And today we're going to talk about the Knicks and Pacers Game 5. And I'm also going to tell you what they need to do in Game 6 and hopefully Game 7 to win the series. Before I hit the intro, though, I developed stickers. If you want me to send you one free of charge, just hit me up on Instagram. I have a ton of them to send to people, so just let me know. I'll get into all of it on the other side of the intro. Hit it.
DiVincenzo at three. Bang! Bang! At the wall, he jumps. It's gone. He did it. He did it. Pete Alonso with the most memorable home run of his career.
All right, getting into the episode, and I'm going to start with the Knicks' biggest key to winning Game 6 and eventually coming back from down 3-1 to win the Eastern Conference Finals. It is to not let the Indiana Pacers score 1,000,000 points. A more exact number I would give you is probably about 120. The two games the Knicks won this series. In Game 3, the Pacers scored 100 points on the nose. And then in Game 5, the Pacers only scored 94 points. The math is mathing. The Knicks just have to hold the Pacers under 110, 115 points. 120 is really the max I would give them before things start to get dicey. But I think that's where the Knicks have to be at. That's where their heads have to be at if they want to win this game. Because they are not built to run with the Indiana Pacers. The New York Knicks are a half-court team. They're one of the slowest teams in terms of pace of play. And they have been for the past couple years. When you look at it, you have Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns as your top two players. Neither of those guys are players that jump off the paper and like, oh, I always see him throwing down fast break jams. Oh, he's always trying to get out in the fast break. He's leading his team to winning the fast break battle every game. No, both of those guys are, all right, they're going to make you sit down on defense. They're going to make you work to stop them. And they want to slow this game down and play at a snail's pace. That's where the Knicks have to be. That's where they want to be. And that starts on the defensive end. And it starts really with Mikal Bridges defending Tyrese Halliburton. TNT showed a bunch of clips on, it would have been Thursday night, of Tyrese Halliburton just getting locked up by Mikal Bridges. Of Mikal Bridges playing super solid, super tough, super intense defense on the Pacers' best player. That's the kind of energy the Knicks need to come out with in Game 6. And I see people online saying Game 6 would be the perfect time to put OG on Halliburton for the night. I like it, except that would leave Mikal Bridges to defend either Miles Turner or Pascal Siakam. Pascal is the more likely matchup. I just don't think Mikal has the strength or the size to stick with Siakam, who has already pulverized the Knicks against the bigger OG, the stronger OG Anunoby. I don't see why things would change if you put Mikal on him. So it's got to stay the same. Mikal is the guy that you bring in to guard the opposing team's best guard. That's what Mikal Bridges is here to do. He's here to defend guards, not forwards, not centers. So that's where I'm coming from, where I would stay with Mikal and Halliburton, especially after he did such a good job on him the other night. And then I talked about Pascal Siakam briefly, but he either owns the Knicks or the Knicks just have no one who can hang with him. Cat wasn't awful on him. OG isn't terrible. He just makes so many shots over OG every time they play. So that's where I don't know where you put OG Anunoby right now. I mean, he was guarding Andrew Nembhard a little bit in Game 6. I just don't know. He doesn't really have a great matchup. Pascal Siakam is the guy that he should be defending. He just can't really hang with Siakam. Siakam just owns him for some reason. So I would say you keep Cat on Siakam, and then you have Miles Turner guarded by Mitchell Robinson, and then it would be Brunson on Bennett Mathurin doesn't start for them. It'd be Mikal on Halliburton, OG on Nembhard, it's Brunson on Aaron Nesmith, And that's the other thing. On the flip side now, Aaron Nesmith has done a tremendous job defending Jalen Brunson. I give him his credit for sticking with Brunson like glue, fighting over every screen. Except he's whacking Brunson every time Brunson is trying to get up the court. The thing is, there is no break in this Indiana Pacers defense. They are full court pressing you for the entire 48 minutes, and they're full court fouling Brunson for the entire 48 minutes. It's like Scott Foster and Tony Brothers and any other official just turns their head and said, yo, Nesmith, you're good. You could hit him. We're not going to call anything. We don't really like the Knicks. We don't want them getting to the NBA Finals. We want you guys in there. You could hit them. You could send them flying to the baseline. It's okay. We're not going to blow the whistle. It's terrible, the whistle. And I'll talk about Game 6 a little bit more at the end of the episode, but the whistle is going to dictate a lot of what happens for the rest of the series, in my opinion. If the whistle goes the Knicks' way, I think they have a chance. And even if it's neutral, I think the Knicks will win. But if the whistle goes the Pacers' way, I don't know. The Knicks have revealed depth that nobody saw coming, and I want Tibbs to keep expanding the rotation. I mean, Precious Achiuwa was a plus 10 in 2 minutes in Game 5. I think he could continue that. He's a guy that has stayed ready for the Knicks all season long. He has never had consistent minutes in a Knicks uniform. He has only played because of injuries, and boy, the Knicks have had a lot of injuries, so he's gotten a lot of run. He's a guy that does have chemistry with this group because he played with them a lot in the regular season before Mitch was healthy. I think Precious could be a real contributor if where he's playing right now is when Cat and Mitch are both in foul trouble, or one is in foul trouble and the other needs a break. But I think he could do a good job guarding Thomas Bryant. I think he could stay with Obi Toppin. And then if you look at the starting lineup, I feel like he wouldn't be terrible if he had to guard Pascal Siakam. I think Precious Achiuwa's defensive strengths match up with what Pascal Siakam is trying to do. Siakam isn't trying to dribble, drive, cross over between the legs, all this crazy dribbling. No, he's pretty efficient, a lot of catch and shoot in the mid-range. He'll take some fadeaways, he'll try to post you up, but Precious is really strong. He has the right body to defend Pascal, so I wouldn't be surprised. I would be surprised, but I wouldn't mind the idea of Tom Thibodeau playing Precious Achiuwa. Maybe if it is just for a 3-4 minute stretch in the middle of the second quarter or in the middle of the third quarter when you need to give Mitch and Cat a break, or OG Anunoby is not being effective on Siakam. On the other guys on the bench, Landry Shamet and DeLon Wright, those are both dogs. They have helped the Knicks so much to extend this series on the brink of elimination. Landry Shamet came out and had one of the best games of his career. And I'm not talking about scoring-wise. He is a two-way demon. He was getting standing ovations and Landry Shamet chants at Madison Square Garden. That is how much of an impact he made on Game 5. In the second half, there were a couple possessions in a row where it was either in the second quarter or the third quarter. I forget what it was. Where he was just locked in. He hit a 3 on one side, and then he came. It was tremendous defense on the other. Mitch had one of these stretches in the third quarter. I think it was like from 10 minutes to 7 minutes where Mitch was just impacting the game so greatly. It started with blocking Tyrese Halliburton out of bounds, and then on the other side of the floor, he had a putback dunk, and then he was guarding Miles Turner at about the half-court line, which it's not the most necessary thing, but it is helpful. And what I've seen this series out of Mitchell Robinson is that he moves really well side to side. I didn't know he had that speed and agility in him, but there were a couple of possessions where he's guarded Tyrese Halliburton, he's gotten switched on or whatnot, and he has really stuck with Halliburton. And after I talk about Mitch, I'm going to make a point on Halliburton. But I am just appalled at why Mitch is not playing at all in the fourth quarters. It makes no sense. He changes the game in so many different ways, on the offensive glass, on the defensive glass, protecting the rim. I mean, you should start him in the fourth quarter. And the reason being, he's in the starting lineup, A, but B, you can get the Pacers into the bonus real quick, and then it's free throws the rest of the way, and then that's where you bring in your Mitch, your Josh, Jalen, OG, Mikhail, Cat unit. That's when you bring in your closing unit once you're shooting free throws with maybe 6 or 7 minutes left to go in the game. And the free throw shooting has been so much improved in this series. It was brutal in the Pistons series. They've gotten it back on the right track, and that's huge because a lot of these playoff games are defined by free throw shooting. And the Pacers haven't been exceptionally well. They haven't been among the best in the league in free throw shooting, especially in this series. It feels like every time Pascal Siakam and Miles Turner are at the line, they are missing at least 1 of 2 free throws. So keeping Mitch in the game could give you more free throw attempts, and even if you do miss 1 or 2, it's going to get canceled out by what the Pacers are missing. And now getting to Tyrese Haliburton, he has quickly become one of the most corny players in the entire NBA. At first, in game 1 with the choke sign, I hit a 2-pointer to send the game to overtime. I'm going to be Reggie Miller, point at him, and hit the choke sign. And then last game, he's smiling as he's walking off the court, similar to how Shai Gilgeous-Alexander did it just a week prior. Not even 2 weeks later, and Tyrese is trying to steal his thing. Also, he's hitting Jalen Brunson's 3-point celebration. Like, some of this stuff just doesn't sit well with me. And if the Knicks can find a way to come back in this series, come back from down 3-1, Haliburton hitting that choke symbol after game 1 is just going to be so funny. It's going to add such a comedic element to it, and I would be here for it. Obviously, I'd be here for it. I'm a huge Knicks fan. But another way I think the Knicks have to get back in this series is by keeping Jalen Brunson off the ball. He hasn't had the same offensive output in this series as he's had all season, and I think it's more of this just being a terrible matchup for Brunson. The Pacers have the guys to stop Brunson. They have the personnel to not let Brunson impact the game as much as the Knicks would like, as much as Brunson would like on the offensive side of the ball. I gave Aaron Nesmith his flowers earlier. He has done a tremendous job, as has Benedict Mathurin, who's come off the bench in a couple of these games for the Pacers. The problem is, though, once Brunson's getting locked up, the offense is stop and go, stop and go. There's no fluidity. There's no pace. There's no flow. Once you keep Jalen Brunson off the ball, that's when the Knicks offense is at its best. When you have that Karl-Anthony Towns, Deuce McBride, Josh Hart, OG Anunoby, Mitchell Robinson lineup out there, maybe Mikhail is playing for OG, whatever it may be, this team and this offense flows so much better. They score a lot more points, and it really allows Cat to take over. And it really does beg the question, are Karl-Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson the right match for each other? Are those the 2 superstars that are going to take you to the promised land? As of right now, I'm not sure. I'm also not willing to have that conversation as the Knicks are in the middle of an Eastern Conference final. We're worried about coming back from down 3-1. Hey, I might be ready to have that conversation tomorrow if the Knicks don't win tonight. But keeping Jalen Brunson off the ball and letting Karl-Anthony Towns, who has had his coming out party in this series, he was terrible in the other 2 series this postseason. He didn't have a great regular season or anything, but he has really turned it up in this conference final. He's had his best 3-game stretch as a Knick, I think. Once you bring in, he might have scored more over 3 games in the regular season or something, but when you factor in that this is the Eastern Conference Finals, when you factor in what Game 3 took with Jalen Brunson on the bench for a lot of that fourth quarter with 5 fouls, when you factor in that the Knicks have their back up against the wall, this has been Karl-Anthony Towns' best stretch as a member of the New York Knicks. And the other thing I'll say about Game 5 is that Josh Hart was very efficient. There's a lot of times with Josh Hart where he's turning the ball over or he's dribbling too much. He's way out of control. He's not being efficient. He was very economical in Game 5. He didn't take too many dribbles. He caught the ball. Maybe it was down low. Maybe it was outside. He either took a dribble and passed, or drove and scored. He didn't do all these head fakes and these dribbles and everything that is just unnecessary. He was very efficient at either getting to the rim, getting past his man and dishing, or doing whatever the Knicks need. Josh Hart's role coming off the bench is not to be the second point guard. It's to be a guy that gets a bunch of rebounds, that goes coast to coast, and that really steadies the presence of this team. Because a lot of the times when Josh Hart does take the ball in transition, that's when he's playing at his best. But there is that other portion of the time where Josh is just out of control and he's not playing well at all. He was still a -1 in this game, which I was surprised by. I thought he had one of his better games of the postseason. He finished with 12 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists. So not really on triple-double watch, but he scored a good amount and he got as many rebounds as the Knicks need. He was the only man in double figures off the bench, and the Knicks also had 4 out of 5 starters in double figures. Mitch was the only one that didn't score double figures. He had 6 points. And from the free throw line, Mitch was 0 for 2 in that one. So you would have liked Mitch to make at least one of the free throws. When Mitch goes to the line, my goal for him is to just split. I'm not expecting him to hit 2 for 2, which when he does, it makes it so much more enjoyable, makes it so much more worth it. But when he misses one, I'm okay with that. That should be the goal for him. It's almost like in baseball where I'd say I'd rather 2 series sweeps in a row than I'd rather 2 series wins in a row than a series sweep and a series loss. That's where I'm at in baseball. It's more sustainable. So if you're just hoping for Mitch to hit 1 out of 2 free throws, that's a more attainable goal because this guy, even though he did start shooting better at the end of that Celtics series, he's still like a 35, 40% free throw shooter over the postseason. So it's terrible, his free throw shooting, but like I said earlier, I still want him to play in fourth quarters. At least start the fourth quarter. If you're not going to finish it, I don't expect him to finish it because he just can't shoot free throws like that. But he deserves to start fourth quarters, especially when he's gotten inserted into the starting lineup. I think he's played well enough to be inserted into the starting lineup. He deserved it. It was Josh Hart really helped Tom Thibodeau make the decision. That way there were no egos hurt. But Mitchell Robinson was playing incredible. He was like Dennis Rodman on the offensive glass. I know that might be a crazy comparison, but the offensive rebounds that Mitch collects are incredible. And rebounding, it's all effort. And Mitch knows, hey, I don't do anything on offense and I'm just a rim protector on defense. I have to insert myself on the offensive side. I have to make myself useful if I want to stay on the court. And he's like, okay, I'm just going to get rebounds. It's all hustle and seeing the spin on the ball and where it's going to come off the rim. That's what Dennis Rodman always talked about. Obviously, Rodman hustled, but I watched The Last Dance. I watched it when it came out, but this is just something I'm remembering now, where there's a scene where Dennis Rodman is sitting in front of a television studying the spin on the ball, how many rotations it takes, where it hits off the rim. That's what Mitch does, and I think it's more what Josh Hart does, because as a smaller guy, you really have to play the angles, and that's something that Brunson does on offense. He plays angles. He knows where guys are going, so he has all his counter moves. He has his move, and he has his counter move. Mitchell Robinson has his offensive rebounding and his defensive rebounding. So for Mitch, he has to play some fourth quarters if the Knicks are going to win. It's like Tom Thibodeau sees what's something that's working, and then he just goes away from it. And now getting back to Karl-Anthony Towns, I mentioned that he's having his coming out party this series. This is why he has been here. For a series like this, where Jalen Brunson can't really impact the game on the offensive side, Karl-Anthony Towns has to be that second guy in command, taking control, attacking the rim. Maybe he takes a couple threes. Let me see. In Game 5, Karl-Anthony Towns was 1 for 4 from three-point range. I'm okay with that. Unless I'm trying to think, I don't remember him taking any shots that I was like, oh, that's a terrible shot. He shouldn't take that. When he takes those like 30-footers in transition, I hate when he takes those shots. So if you guys remember any of those, maybe he did miss one or take one. I'm not remembering it off the top of my head right now. But him driving hard has been so huge. Him even trying to get up and dunk the ball. A lot of what I saw from him earlier in the postseason, in the regular season, was a lot of fading away, shying away from contact, not in the conference final. Not since Game 3. Karl-Anthony Towns has gone right at the defense and attacked. He is trying to get to the line, even playing on that bum knee. He's got a knee contusion that he's dealing with right now. He had his finger wrapped up after Game 5, but he is still attacking really hard, and that is something that has been so huge, so pivotal for the Knicks, where he's really turned it on and started playing at a different level for the Knicks. It's the aggression, and the Knicks have to keep feeding him. Like I said, keep Brunson off the ball, let Karl-Anthony Towns handle it. And I would be okay if Karl-Anthony Towns brought the ball up the court for a possession. I know he's a big, but he can handle the ball well, and I doubt the Pacers defense would be as aggressive on him. They would be daring him to bring it up the court more, and then they would attack him, which would take pressure off of Brunson, and that's where Brunson can catch and shoot, can catch and drive, or he could facilitate from there. But like, I do think overall, even if it isn't Karl-Anthony Towns, I think it is a little bit insane for a big to bring the ball up the court. But if you have Josh bring it up, or you have Mikal, or you have Deuce coming off the bench bringing the ball up, I think that's something the Knicks have to look at. Keeping Brunson off the ball as much as possible, except when he's going to shoot. Jalen should touch the ball when he's going to take a shot. Other than that, though, I don't know if he really has to be touching the ball too much, because it's just not working. It's keeping the offense stagnant, and Karl-Anthony Towns stepping up has really clinched that thought for me that Brunson doesn't need to have a huge impact on this game because Cat is playing well. And when Cat wasn't playing as well against the Celtics, I said, okay, Brunson now has to go out there and drop 30 points. Brunson did score 32 in Game 5. I didn't think he did. How many shots? He did it on 18 field goals and 4 free throws. So that's not a foul baiting game. That's not a foul hunting game. That's pretty efficient. 12 for 18. That's over 50% from the field. 4 for 7 from deep. Over 50% as well. I will take that performance any day of the week. The 3 turnovers is what irks me, though, because when Brunson's starting the ball, it seems like the whole team plays sloppy out of that. And a lot of the time it happens coming out of the locker room. It's Mikal Bridges is really the culprit of it. He has that lackadaisical start to the half where he'll give up a turnover or two. And if the Knicks are going to win this game and they're going to come back, they have to keep their foot on the gas pedal from the time the ball is thrown in the air until the time the buzzer sounds. And that includes the first 3 minutes out of the half. The Knicks in Game 5 extended their lead coming out of halftime. They didn't stay the same or even give up a couple points. They were winning going into the half, and 4 minutes into their half, their lead had extended. That's what they need to continue to do. All right, one last thing I'm going to say before I end this episode. The Knicks are not dead yet. The Pacers still have to win 4 games. They've only won 3. The Knicks are still punching. They're still fighting. They're still kicking. They still have oxygen. However, I think the whistle is going to play a huge part in Game 6. If the Pacers are getting a whistle, even if it's a neutral whistle, if the Knicks are getting the whistle or it's a neutral whistle, I think they have a good chance to win. But if the Pacers are getting the whistle, it's going to be a whole nother story. If they get a whistle like they did in Game 4, that's just terrible on the NBA to end a team's season like that. The Knicks can't worry about refs, though. They can't worry about coaches. They can't worry about fans. They just have to win. Any way possible, by any means necessary, the Knicks have to find a win tonight with their backs up against the wall. There's no other way to continue the season. But if they do win tonight, I think they will win Game 7. I think there's just going to be too much pressure on Indiana. It'll be back at the Garden. And, hey, a Game 7 conference final win at Madison Square Garden, they might not even wait till the NBA Finals to burn the city down. It might be gone after a Game 7. All right, that's going to do it for the episode. If you enjoyed, please consider subscribing, liking, commenting, sharing. I really appreciate all of it. Also, if you want a sticker, I mentioned at the start of the episode, but just hit me up on Instagram. You could DM me. I'll send you one or a couple free of charge. Also, you can leave a voicemail at 848-305-8073. Again, that's 848-305-8073. And most importantly, make sure you keep it locked with the Sports Pod.